Madonna was in the middle of Material Girl, the song that had made her both famous and infamous. 20,000 people at Madison Square Garden were on their feet, singing every word, watching her move across the stage in that pink dress that had scandalized America and made conservative groups call for boycotts. The spotlight caught the sequins on her outfit, sending fractals of light across the arena walls. Her backup dancers moved in perfect synchronization, executing choreography that had been rehearsed until it became muscle memory. Then suddenly Madonna stopped. Just stopped mid-dance, her right arm frozen in the middle of the gesture that had become her signature move. The music kept playing, the synthesizers and drums pounding through the massive sound system, but she wasn't moving. She stood frozen center stage, staring into section 104 with an intensity that cut through the performance like a knife. The audience began to murmur, confused. Something was wrong. Madonna never broke character during a performance. Never. This was the woman who'd continued singing through wardrobe malfunctions, sound failures, and hostile crowds. She raised her hand, pointed into the crowd with laser precision, and spoke into her headset mic with an authority that cut through the noise and confusion. Security, section 104, aisle seat, girl in white sweater, now. Her voice carried the command of someone accustomed to being obeyed, but underneath it was something else. Urgency. Fear, maybe. The backup dancers kept going for 2 more beats before realizing their leader had abandoned the choreography. They stumbled, unsure whether to continue or stop. The band played on, confused but professional, maintaining the rhythm even as their world-famous front woman stood motionless at center stage. The crowd fell silent, 20,000 voices suddenly uncertain, the energy shifting from celebration to concern in seconds. Security rushed into the crowd, black-clad figures moving through the sea of people with purpose. 30 seconds later, they were carrying someone out. A girl, 17 years old, barely conscious, her white sweater a stark contrast against the darkness of the venue. Madonna watched until she disappeared from view. Then she took a breath, nodded to her band, and picked up the dance where she'd left it, as if nothing had happened. But something had happened, something that would haunt her long after the final bow. After the show, Madonna found that girl, and what Jennifer Thompson told her changed Madonna forever. November 23rd, 1985. Madonna was at the absolute peak of everything, but also drowning in it. The Like a Virgin tour was massive. Every venue sold out in minutes. Every performance dissected by critics who couldn't decide if she was a musical genius or a cultural disaster. Tonight, Madison Square Garden was electric with anticipation and controversy. The protesters outside with their signs about decency and morality had been matched by the fans camping for tickets. Madonna stood backstage, adjusting the bow on her wedding dress costume, trying to ignore the familiar knot in her stomach. The pressure was suffocating, every move analyzed, every word twisted. The media had branded her the Material Girl, but they'd forgotten she was also just a girl from Michigan who'd lost her mother at 8 years old and was still trying to figure out who she was supposed to be. She walked onto that stage carrying the weight of America's expectations and fears. The opening notes of Like a Virgin sent the crowd into hysteria. Madonna performed with the precision of someone who'd rehearsed every gesture 1,000 times, but also with the desperation of someone trying to prove she deserved to be there. 4 songs in, she transitioned into Material Girl, the song she'd grown to resent but knew was her biggest hit. As she moved into the second chorus, executing the choreography that had become as famous as the song itself, something in the crowd caught her attention. Section 104. A girl in a white sweater, sitting while everyone around her stood and danced. The girl's posture was wrong, too still, too removed. Madonna had developed an instinct for reading crowds, for spotting trouble, for sensing when something wasn't right. This girl wasn't just tired or uninterested. She was somewhere else entirely. Madonna recognized that disconnection because she'd felt it herself. In hotel rooms after shows when the adrenaline faded, and she was alone with thoughts too dark to share with anyone. The girl in section 104 had the same emptiness Madonna saw in her own mirror during the worst moments. Without thinking, Madonna stopped dancing. The decision wasn't calculated or planned. It was instinctive. the way you'd reach out to catch someone who was falling. She pointed into the crowd and called for security, not because the girl was causing trouble, but because Madonna sensed she was in trouble. The show continued, but Madonna's mind stayed in section 104. During every song break, every costume change, every moment of silence between tracks, she thought about that girl's face, about the recognition that had hit her like cold water. The professional part of her brain kept executing the performance flawlessly. She hit every mark, nailed every vocal run, commanded the stage with the presence that had made her a superstar. But underneath the glittering surface, she was processing what she'd seen: the stillness, the disconnection, the way the girl had sat while everyone around her danced, as if she existed in a parallel universe where joy couldn't penetrate. After the final bow, after the last encore, after the crowd had screamed themselves hoarse and filed out into the New York night, Madonna didn't go to her dressing room like she always did. She didn't sit down to decompress from the adrenaline rush of performing for 20,000 people. Instead, she found her tour manager, Paul, a seasoned veteran who'd worked with major acts for 15 years and thought he'd seen everything. "The girl from section 104, Madonna said, still breathing hard from the show, sweat running down her face, her voice hoarse from 2 hours of singing. "Where is she?" Paul looked confused for a moment. In all his years in the business, he'd never had a headliner ask about someone who'd been removed from the audience. "The medical tent," he said. "EMTs checked her out. Dehydration, they think. Maybe low blood sugar. She should probably go to a hospital, but she's refusing treatment. Says she just wants to go home." "I want to see her," Madonna said, wiping her face with a towel, but not bothering to change out of her final costume. Paul stared at her. "Madonna, you've got the VIP meet and greet in 20 minutes. Radio station winners, label executives, some big donors who paid premium for backstage access, the kind of people who keep tours profitable." "Cancel it," Madonna said without hesitation. "I want to see the girl from section 104, now." Jennifer Thompson sat on a folding chair, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her, looking smaller than her 17 years. When Madonna walked in, still in her final costume, the girl's eyes widened with confusion and something that might have been fear. "You're Madonna." Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. "I am. What's your name?" "Jennifer. Jennifer Thompson." Madonna pulled up another folding chair, sat down at eye level with the girl she'd stopped her show to save. "Jennifer, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Are you okay?" Jennifer looked away. "I'm fine. I don't know why they brought me here. I was just watching the show." But Madonna had learned to recognize the difference between fine and surviving, between watching and disappearing. "Jennifer, when I looked at you during Material Girl, you weren't watching. You were somewhere else. I know that look because I've worn it." The admission hung in the air between them. Jennifer studied Madonna's face, searching for traces of the confident woman who just commanded a stage in front of 20,000 people. What she found was someone who understood. "How did you know?" Jennifer asked finally. "Because I've been where you are. Different reasons, same feeling. Tell me what's happening." The story came out slowly, then all at once. Jennifer was a junior in high school in New Jersey, straight A student, dance classes since she was 5, parents who loved her but didn't understand her. 3 months ago, she'd looked in a mirror and decided she was too fat. Started with skipping lunch, then breakfast, then dinner when she could get away with it. She'd lost 30 pounds in 12 weeks. Her parents noticed but thought it was stress from school. Her friends envied her dedication to fitness. Her dance teacher praised her discipline. Nobody saw what was really happening because Jennifer had become expert at hiding it. "I came to your concert because I love your music," Jennifer said, "but also because I wanted to see what perfect looked like, what I was supposed to look like." Madonna felt something crack inside her chest. "Perfect? Jennifer, you think I'm perfect? You're Madonna. You're beautiful, famous, successful. You have everything." Madonna was quiet for a long moment, processing the gap between perception and reality. "Jennifer, can I tell you something nobody else knows?" The girl nodded. 3 weeks ago, I stood in my hotel bathroom in Chicago, looked in the mirror, and hated everything I saw. The media calls me the material girl, Says I'm all about image and money and surface things. They analyze every outfit, every gesture, every pound I've gained or lost. I spend hours in front of mirrors wondering if I'm too fat, too thin, too much, not enough. Jennifer stared at her in shock. But you're confident on stage. On stage, yes. For 90 minutes, I'm exactly who I want to be. Off stage, I'm still that 8-year-old girl whose mother died and left her wondering if she was worth loving. Fame doesn't fix the inside stuff, Jennifer. Money doesn't heal childhood wounds. Success doesn't make you feel beautiful if you don't feel it in here. Madonna pressed her hand to her heart. The girl I saw tonight in section 104, she looked like I feel sometimes. Empty, disconnected. Like she was watching life happen from a distance because being fully present hurt too much. Jennifer was crying now, quiet tears that she tried to wipe away. I just wanted to disappear, not die exactly, just not be here for a while. Stop having to worry about everything. Stop having to be perfect. Stop disappointing everyone. I know, Madonna said softly, but disappearing isn't the answer. I tried that too, in different ways. Drinking too much, sleeping too little, pushing people away. It doesn't work. The pain follows you. Madonna reached for her belt, the famous boy toy accessory that had caused so much controversy, and carefully removed a small silver charm shaped like a microphone. I want you to keep this, she said, placing it in Jennifer's palm. Every time you look in a mirror and hate what you see, every time you think about skipping meals, every time you want to disappear, I want you to remember that Madonna stopped her show for you. Not because you were causing trouble, but because your life mattered enough to stop the music. Jennifer held the charm like it was made of something precious. Why do you care? You don't even know me. Because someone should have cared about me when I was 17 and hurting. Because I see myself in you, and I want you to have what I didn't have at your age. Someone who recognized the pain and said it matters. Madonna pulled out a card, wrote a phone number on the back. This goes to my assistant. You call when you need to. Not for autographs or photos, but when you're hurting, when you want to disappear, someone will always answer. Promise me you'll get help. Real help. Therapy, doctors, people who understand eating disorders. What if I can't stop? Jennifer asked. Then you get help stopping. You don't fight this alone. And you remember that perfect doesn't exist. What you saw on stage tonight, that confidence, that's not natural. That's work. Daily work to feel okay in my own skin. Madonna stood up, looked at Jennifer one more time. Your parents outside? My mom drove down from New Jersey. Good. Talk to her on the way home. Tell her what you told me. She loves you enough to bring you to a Madonna concert on a school night. She'll love you enough to get you help. Security knocked on the door. Madonna, we need to clear out. Venue's closing. Madonna nodded, then turned back to Jennifer. You going to be okay? I think so. Call that number tomorrow. Promise me. I promise. As Madonna walked away, Jennifer called out softly. Madonna? Thank you for stopping the show, for seeing me. Madonna smiled, and for a moment the exhaustion and pressure fell away. Thank you for being worth stopping for. Jennifer left Madison Square Garden that night with a silver microphone charm and a phone number. Madonna left with something else. Understanding that her image, her success, her visibility came with responsibility she'd never fully grasped. The tour continued, but something had shifted. Madonna began watching crowds differently, looking for signs of struggle, moments when someone needed to be seen. She never stopped another show, but twice more on that tour, she had security check on people who seemed too still, too removed, too much like she'd felt in her darkest moments. 5 years later, Madonna received a letter with a return address in Princeton, New Jersey. The envelope was thick, cream-colored paper with careful handwriting that looked familiar but older, more confident than she remembered. Inside, Jennifer Thompson, now 22, had written 6 pages about her journey from that November night to graduation day. She'd graduated college summa cum laude with a degree in psychology, maintaining a 3.9 GPA while working part-time at a crisis counseling center. She was starting graduate school in the fall, specializing in eating disorders and adolescent mental health. funded by a scholarship she'd earned by writing about her own recovery experience. The silver charm was enclosed with the letter, wrapped carefully in tissue paper, not because she didn't want it anymore, but because she wanted to pass it on. She'd started a support group for teenage girls struggling with body image issues, meeting every Tuesday night in the basement of a community center in Trenton. 12 girls between ages 14 and 18, all fighting the same invisible war Jennifer had nearly lost. She wanted to give the charm to someone else who needed to remember that their life was worth stopping the music for, that someone famous had once cared enough about a stranger to risk breaking character in front of 20,000 people. Madonna kept that letter in her jewelry box for the rest of her career. Every time she felt overwhelmed by fame, criticized by media, or questioned her impact on young women, she'd read Jennifer's words. "You saved my life not by being perfect, but by being real, by showing me that someone successful could still hurt, could still struggle, could still care about a stranger in the audience. That night taught me that healing happens when we see each other clearly, without the mask we wear to get through the day." November 23, 1985. Madonna stopped Material Girl mid-dance, pointed into section 104, and said 6 words that saved a life. "Girl in white sweater, now." Those 6 words interrupted the most famous pop song in America, confused 20,000 people, and changed 2 lives forever. Sometimes the most important thing a performer can do isn't hit every note or nail every move with technical precision and flawless execution. Sometimes it's stop the show, look into the crowd, and see someone who needs to be seen. Madonna learned that night that her real power wasn't in her voice, or her dancing, or her ability to shock and provoke audiences worldwide. It was in her willingness to recognize pain and do something about it, even if it meant breaking character, stopping the performance, and admitting that she understood what it felt like to want to disappear. The show could wait. The choreography could be restarted. The music could continue. But Jennifer Thompson couldn't wait for another song, another show, another perfect moment in time. And Madonna, despite everything else she was dealing with back then, saw that clearly enough to stop everything and save someone who'd come to her concert, planning to fade away completely. That's the performance Madonna never forgot. Not because of the music, but because of the moment she stopped being a pop star and became a lifeline for someone who needed proof that they mattered enough to interrupt the most famous pop song in America.